Are you concerned about all this corruption being rebranded as conspiracy theory? Well, don't you worry. Sit back and relax and join in the conversation with today's guest. Welcome to another LSB Film Productions podcast with your host, Chris Brooks.
Hello and welcome to the channel. It's me, Chris Brooks, for another LSB Film podcast. Today's going to be a nice, chilled, relaxed podcast because we've got two great guests on. We've got Graham Moore and we've got Captain Tim Nigel. Welcome to you both. How are we all?
We're good, mate. How are you?
Very, very well. All the better for hearing and seeing you guys on your lovely boat out in the Portugal Bay of, where are you?
Portimao.
There you go, Portimao. Wow.
And just as a minor correction, it's not a boat; it's a super yacht.
Sorry, it's a super yacht, and we have to get the super in.
That's it, because of its size. It's 87 foot long.
That is a beast, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
I know
70 tons.
What's the girth like?
It's not all about the girth, mate. It's about how you drive it.
Absolutely. So first of all, it's great to see you both together. I'm glad that we managed to hook each other up, so that's awesome. So what brings you out onto the boat then, Graham?
What did I think about the boat?
No, what brings you out onto the boat?
Well, let me just click this button because there's a button on there keeps flashing up in front of me. So first of all, this vessel and Captain Tim that I met through your channel. This is exactly what I would do with my life, right? So again, it's a sovereign boat, or it's a sovereign super yacht, shall we call it, right? And everything that Tim's doing is exactly what I believe in, right? So in other words, when you're on this boat, you're your own people, it's your own freedom, everyone gets on with each other. That's exactly how it should be. And this boat goes everywhere. So what happens, the reason why I'm on the boat now, I went up to Hull and I stayed on the boat a couple of times in Hull. I went down to Weymouth when it was in Weymouth. And then a couple of times I was trying to get on it to go out to sea and it didn't happen. And then when we had the election, I had a period where I didn't have any seminars. I didn't have, and we got some big cases coming up after in about 3-4 weeks' time. So I needed to get on the boat in a specific time. And literally, I just flew out here, got an Uber from the airport to exactly the position where I was picked up in an Uber taxi. And the Uber taxi was Captain Tim, and that was it. And then we just come straight over to the boat. Off we got, and that was it. So that's why I'm on the boat. But it's absolutely gorgeous.
So it's safe to say you've got no passport with you either?
Me personally, I have got a passport because I couldn't get on the plane without it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you had to fly over, didn't you?
But I did contemplate rowing over here. But it's just a bit too much for me. But...
No, that's fair. So, welcome, Tim. How's it all going, mate? How's it going since we last spoke?
It's been going well, mate. Yeah, we've had a few issues down here with storms coming in out of the blue, and got a bit of damage about a month ago. So we're just waiting on getting hauled out the water now, which I've informed Graham that he's skippering the boat into the crane. So that was a good look on his face when he found that one out. So yeah, we've got to do that. I mean, the people down here have been amazing. The damage that was caused was basically because we were forced into the marina in the storm by the police, which we all thought was a great idea. But unfortunately, the way the water was coming and creating the swell, the concrete pontoons were going up and down. So you've got a 70-ton boat and probably a couple of 100-ton of concrete all smashing up against each other. So that's been a bit of a downside. But hey, stuff happens and you've just got to work your way through it. So it needed to come out of the water anyway. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing here.
Well, at least you've got the nice weather.
Oh, that's it, mate. I could have been doing it in Hull, chipping ice off the boat. I didn't fancy that one.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's. I think it's about 14 degrees here today, and it's overcast. So, but then they're dimming the sun, aren't they? So, what can we expect?
Yeah.
So
and that's something I've noticed here as well, Chris. Is the weather's absolutely amazing. Anytime there's a storm on its way, they're up there doing their trails,
Yeah.
and it's just it's to the point every time you see it, and then a storm arrives.
It's almost, well, you can predict it now, can't you?
Yeah,
But it's
yeah, you can see
getting,
what they're doing.
yeah, absolutely. I see Graham is wearing his Make England Great Again hat.
Yes, I am
There you
indeed.
go. See, I saw. So, with that in mind, then, and let's get on to the local recent elections which have just taken place, Graham. Tell me what your views on that are.
Well, so just to make sure everyone's aware of this, the Runcorn and Helsby return was totally corrupt, right? So I'm not suggesting that Sarah didn't win. In fact, I would suggest she won by a lot more, but the system is protecting the system and has to. So just to let everyone know, I got 50 votes. And Tim says, I like that because it means you're the worst politician. And if you're the worst politician, it means I must like you because there's a reason why they don't like you,
Mm.
and they're forcing you down, right? So I want the audience to understand what I'm about to say. In 2016, I stood in another election 9 years ago in Tooting in South London when Sadiq Khan stood down as a member of parliament because he'd become the London mayor. And in that same election, I got exactly 50 votes. To anyone listening to this, I used to own a betting shop. I can work out odds, right? And the odds of that happening are 40,000 elections to 1 for the same candidate to have the exact same amount of votes, right? Now, the other thing that people should understand is that means because of the exact number, it was deliberate. It can't be any other way, and it means that the people have not been told the true return. So, just to make sure everyone understands, at the end of an election, there is a 21-day period where a common law court in the King's Bench can hear applications to null and void the election return. And tomorrow, hopefully, we are putting in an application which is costing us 5,000. Mind, you're not supposed to be charged for justice, but a £5,000 fee to put that writ into the High Court. We've got 3 grounds for nullification. One is the implausibility and impossibility of getting 50 votes in 2 separate elections with completely different demographics in 2 different areas by the same candidate. That just doesn't add up, and it stinks of fraud.
Mm.
So there are 2 other elements. One is the Royal Mail didn't deliver our leaflets. And the third is that we was harassed by the Cheshire police. And again, I've got evidence of all of that, and I can show that and present it to the court. So what we're doing is asking the court to nullify and void the election return. There are 4 people named on the writ: the Chief Constable of Cheshire, the head of the Royal Mail, Sarah Pudding, for obviously Reform UK, and also the returning officer. So once that goes in, what we've asked for as a remedy is for the count, there to be a recount in a separate area. So, for example, it could be, we've asked it be in a separate county, a separate shire, and by independent counters where they go through every single vote and count it properly. And what you will see, if that happens, and it is a completely honest count, you will see a completely different. I'm not suggesting Reform didn't win. I am suggesting that there's a potential that Conservatives lost their deposit, and that the Labour Party support completely and utterly stopped. So they probably won their deposit, but just about. And I believe that the true figure and the true picture of what went on. And I believe that we potentially had hundreds, if not just under 2,000 votes. Someone else got them votes. We want to know who it is. And just to make sure, Chris, that people understand, this election was supported by Sean Atwood with 2.7 million subscribers who lived or lives in Widnes, which is so all of those people in that area. I'm not suggesting they're all listening to his show, but what I'm saying is there's a number of people that would have seen the live with me and Sean Atwood. You've got Nick Buckley, OBE, who did an interview. You've got yourself, who done an interview with me. You've got Bannerman, that again is reasonably local. You've got Andy the Gabby Cabby. All of the alternative view channels, or let's say all, some of them, right, promoted me standing. And to get 50 votes is just illogical.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Like you say, it's to get 250. It's like they've just copy and pasted, isn't it? It's like, yeah,
exactly.
That's fishy. I
know
you're on a super yacht, but that's really fishy. You are.
So are you suggesting there's something going down untoward there?
I think there's a little bit of fuckery going on. Yeah.
Well, when you consider that our supporters, so don't forget the main thing that we stand for is the number one human right of self-determination. Whether people like it or not is irrelevant, right? And the state must respect that. It's international law and domestic law, but just to make sure everybody understands this, there was another guy in Rochdale, I forget his name, Andy saying, I think his name was, in Rochdale, where he caught them putting votes in another pile. It's on, and he said, "I want a full recount," and no one backed him up. If I'd been there, I would have backed him up. Right? We need to get to that guy because I need a statement from him. Because when I was at Batley and Spen, we had the same issue, and again, I don't believe in George Galloway's politics, right? But what I do believe is in fair elections, right? And free elections, which is not what we've currently got. But in Batley and Spen, they've done the same thing. I witnessed it and I wrote out a statement because he was going to take it to the election courts for a full recount, right? So that statement in there is exactly what they was doing at Runcorn and Helsby, and it was exactly what they was doing with this other guy where he actually caught them. And it was so bad that they took the votes off of one candidate, the independent, and put them votes in the Labour. So because he caught them, and then they had to put the votes back where they really belonged, the Labour candidate lost. So that's how important this is.
It is. It's staggering. And it really is. So what's your take on all this then, Tim? Because obviously you're sovereign. So I'm guessing your views on voting are somewhat different, maybe, to what?
Yeah, I mean,
Graham Moore.
I agree with what Graham's doing, and it is proving the fraud within it. I mean, am I personally involved in anything to do with politics? I mean, there's only one thing that I wanted to see with Graham getting in is having him clean the bottom of my boat, just so I could say I've had a politician scrub the ass of my boat. You know, that was my goal there. But hey, look, somebody's got to show them up for what they are. You know, that's what it comes down to.
No, absolutely. No. So do you see yourself running again then, Graham? Do you think this is something that you might pursue again?
Well, so don't forget, people, it's not the first time I've stood in an election. I've stood on many occasions. I lost my job for standing in one election. I literally lost a job because of who I was standing for, which on that occasion, it was the English Democrats. I mean, we created our own party because disabled people, retirees, and people who consider themselves to be English, and let's just make sure everyone's aware of this, the 2011 census, for the first time, added English-only national identity, right, for the first time ever. And 32.4 million people put on that census there was English only national identity. It's not as if we haven't got support. We have. We are being crushed by the British political union and the unionists, who are, according to that census, a minority. So you've got a minority rule oppressing the majority, which is the English. So will I stand again? My answer to you, Chris, is I will never, ever surrender.
Perfect answer there, sir. Perfect. No, no, I see. I don't think I could ever do it again. I mean, I didn't really want to be a councillor the first time around. I did it just to make the numbers up, so Labour at least had a fight on their hands rather than just a walkthrough. And so I never thought that I would get in. I'm just not made of the same stuff as you guys. I love listening to the passion of what you do, and it fascinates me, but I just haven't got the capacity to stand up in front of people and go rah, rah, rah. You know, I struggle enough doing it in front of this bloody thing. So I, you know, hats off to you, and I do really hope that one day you help bring this country back into reform. Probably not the best choice of word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I do indeed. But again, people, and I understand that, but remember something, Chris. The reason why they're doing what they're doing, and it is illegal to intentionally miscount the votes. The reason why they're doing it and making it appear that you've got no support is because they fear us. They fear the English. They fear people from Norfolk standing up, right? Which is what you're doing, and you're creating this movement in Norfolk. They fear you, right? And you've got to make sure everyone understands it's going to be a battle of minds, right? It's going to be a battle of minds, but you must stand and you must encourage people to vote, even if they write on their ballot, "I do not consent." That was another strange thing about that Runcorn. We know there was a big movement for "I do not consent." So you write that on your ballot, Ashby versus White, 1703. By the way, that is contained in this writ. So we're pushing that forward. There wasn't a single one there. That's the first election. I've never seen that. And I know there's a big movement for "I do not consent" in that area. So, and just remember this again, and I don't want to remember something that is absolutely key to this election. Why did it happen? Because a Labour member of Parliament attacked and assaulted a constituent, and the people in that area were not happy. So for anyone to think it was a close run thing with Labour, they was under a punishment election, right? And that's why this has got to be recounted properly.
No, absolutely. No, 100%. So what do you have to do? What did you say the process for that is then? Because you've got like you've got subject access requests, haven't you? I don't know what's the process. How would you to get that recounted?
Right, so the process is, so we have to follow a strict process, which we're doing at the moment. So we've wrote out a writ.
So it's the writ, okay, sorry, yeah.
So you then supply the writ to the High Court. You give them £5,000, and then two senior common law judges read through your writ, look at your evidence, so all the evidence is contained in it. And just to make sure everyone's aware of this, we've got statements of truth from, I think, 10 separate people in the area to say that the leaflets were not delivered, right? Whereas the Royal Mail was saying they was. Now, in all these different places, they're all saying, "Graham, the only leaflet we never got was your leaflet." Remember, our leaflet is the one that on the back page, it actually stated the Criminal Justice Act 1988, Section 134, torture. And it told you that judges, police officers, councillors, two prime ministers, and the head of the CPS, which just happened to be Keir Starmer, can be charged with torture. Now, if you're putting 45,400 of them leaflets through someone's door, telling them that they need to be charged, this is what, and the people had voted for that, right? So that's why they stopped them leaflets going through. They was getting the truth. the law, the real law, not this nonsense that we get from all these other people, the real law that's been enacted, and there's a process for doing it. So you wouldn't get an inquiry, you get a jury trial, and any of these people going in front of a jury charged with short, if they get found guilty, or when they get found guilty, there's only one sentence. Section 6 of the same Act and the law says it's a mandatory life sentence, an all life sentence. So you tell me they didn't want them leaflets being delivered through the doors.
Skullduggery. I mean, I have to say, even with us, when we campaigned, sorry, Tim, I know you were just sat there listening to us crow on about politics.
All good.
But you are more than welcome to jump in at anything you want to. But I was just going to say, when it comes to even the Labour in Thetford, they were so scared that they had to fight for their positions because we had video footage from a dash cam of some of the Labour supporters taking down our banners from high up in the tree. We put them like 20 foot in the air because we knew that this was to be expected. We had all our videos. I'd done a video for each person running so the people could get an idea of who they were voting for. People in Labour somehow managed, before we did, they changed all of the little short code URLs. And so every time they clicked on one of the candidates, it took them to like a conspiracy website or something like that. so there's so much fuckery afoot.
It's funny you should say that though, Chris, because that's what so we had a Wikipedia page 2 days after the election started, the election campaign. They took down the Wikipedia page so no one could see what we was and what we stood for.
Really?
That's in the writ.
Yeah, it just goes.
And this isn't just England either. It's I've been following a lady called Dawn Kelly in Australia, and she's been trying to run for the Great Australian Party. Exactly the same thing's happening over there to her. We're actually going to touch base with her soon so we can link her and Graham up and actually get a good chat going on that. But yeah, it's happening all over the world.
No, I suppose we've only got to look at the Donald Trump elections the last time round to see how much interference is actually involved. But no, I'm surprised that they didn't do as much. Oh yeah, nice one. I'm surprised they didn't do as much fuckery with reform, because you would have thought, even though I think that they're controlled, but you would have thought from the narrative, the mainstream narrative perception, that they would be really scared of reform as well.
So if you want my answer to that, is reform are not what you think they are. I mean, Sarah in Runcorn and Helsby, when we was at a hustings, and I got the biggest applause from, I don't know, 150 people, right? And the biggest cheer for what I said to the people in that area. Let me just make sure I'm clear on this. She had three personal minders, right? And then someone said to me, why has she got 3 personal minders? And I said, she's been a magistrate for 20 years, banging people up. When you say that person's going to be in that location at that time, that's why they give them minders, right? Because it only takes one of them thousands of people that she's locked up, to turn up there, and you've got a problem. Where you didn't have any of that with the other candidates. Why would anyone vote for an establishment figure like a nodding dog that has just done everything the establishment wants? I mean, it's like voting for a bailiff. Working people ain't going to do it, right? She's been a magistrate for 20 years.
It's like a turkey voting for Bernard Matthew.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, it's strange, isn't it? So, what is your take on politics, Tim? Where do you? I know, obviously, you're not a voter, but do you find politics is going to be the answer, or do you think we need a new avenue?
Well, I think the whole system needs to go, every part of it, and rebuild again. And that's the one thing about using constitutions, though, and taking it back to countries, to shires, to your smaller villages, and I think that needs to happen across the world and stop. We need to lose the central power. That's the main issue with it all. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to matter how it goes and who does it. Even people on our side of the fence, as soon as they get that controlled power, there seems to be issues with it. You know, it goes to their head. They seem to lose the plot. But yeah, I mean, I can't see it disappearing anytime soon. So we've got to work with what we've got, really, haven't we?
Yeah, that's what worries me.
Mm, I know what you mean.
I mean, I am incredibly grateful to have people like Graham batting for the English people. I think we need that more than we've probably ever needed it before in recent history. So I just don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. There's so much going on in the background with politics and more nefarious things. I just don't know how this is gonna play out. I keep going from
Mm,
really optimistic to
yeah.
really we're fucked.
But that's
And
how the game is played, isn't it? You know, they break you down with it constantly. So every time you think you've got to win, they'll make another move, and then you know that brings you down again. And you know, in the theory that you'll all just sort of give into it eventually.
no, that's it. What about you, Churchill? What's your take on this? Do you find that are you up and down with the emotion on what we're going
Yes.
through?
Well, the answer is yes and no. And by the way, just to make sure everyone's aware, right? Cigars out here is something ridiculously cheap, right? And just to make sure everyone aware as well, right? We have to go for provisions instead of bringing fresh water back to this super yacht. Uh, Wine is cheaper than water, right? So we have a good night's sleep, and you can hear it. It turns out that the local mayor has sent us a little flashing message saying, "Can you turn his snoring down because it's like we're having an earthquake, right?" So
A little
but
tsunami.
a little tsunami from this vessel. But let me just say this to you, especially this. So there's two things that I'll say to people, and it's really sort of poignant of what you've just said. It takes a special set of mindset to keep going, right?
Mm.
But they have tried and tried and tried to demoralise us. They are
Mm.
the people in fear of us, not the other way round, right?
Yeah.
That's the first thing. But remember, there were two quotes from Trotsky, a communist from the Soviet regime, right? The first was this about elections. It's not how many votes you get, it's who counts the votes,
Mm.
right? So what's going on now? That's why I say this is Soviet Britain. The second thing that he said, and this is pertinent to your channel and people like you, Chris, right? You are doing more for this country and the people of this country than anyone will ever know because you are true alternative views. It is
Mm.
crucially important, right? The other thing that Trotsky said was he who controls the media controls the mind. They don't control you as alternative media, so you are assisting with the liberty and freedom of our minds. That's what happened when the process started in the USSR, because people started to realise they were being lied to. And it was voices like yours and your channel that are assisting with undoing the programming, right? So never become demoralised. Always realise them people fear us, and they
Yeah.
fear us more than you will ever know.
100%.
Well, that was a very good speech, mate. Thank you.
That's because he had his cigar. He was on his
That's
Winston
what it is.
Churchill moment.
It's the reincarnation
And
of
the other
Churchill.
thing that wants mentioning, Chris, I don't know if we brought it up yet, we spoke to you about it earlier, is Starmer is on his way to Portugal, as we know, to sign the British Army over on the 19th. So we're hoping to nip up and see him and see how that goes.
Yeah, well, I would really appreciate any footage that you're able to get so I can report on it. That would be amazing.
100%.
We'll give you an exclusive to us holding up our banners. We speak English, not British, and then underneath it, it's going to say the English people have said no to delivering our sovereignty to a foreign power.
Yeah. So I still can't believe it's even a thing. Because what happened to treason?
Yeah,
Where did
exactly.
that go?
Yeah.
Well, the laws on treason are still valid. The laws on perjuring your oath, and I'm not talking about in a court of law when you give evidence. I'm talking about when you take an oath. If you perjure that oath, for example, the king, not my king, has already perjured his oath. He took two oaths. Well, in the past, again, King Alfred hanged 44 judges for perjuring their oath, right? And that is still the English common law. And when we take back control of our nation, you will see trials for treason.
Well, watch this space then. No,
Mm.
absolutely. Well, listen, thank you very much. Again, I love chatting to you guys because it's just chill and relax. Thank you for your time today. And thank you also for what you've been doing, both of you, for the parts that you play in, just showing people the way in sovereignty and being free, or as free as one can be on this planet Earth.
Freedom starts in the mind, brother.
It does. No, you are 100% right. And any yogi will tell you that. But no,
Yeah.
that is true. Absolutely. Any closing words, anyone?
Yes, we've actually promoted Graham as well. I was just discussing with him the other night, and I said, you're going by Mr. Graham Moore. And I said, that's the lowest form of rank you can get. And he
Mm.
said, you're right. So it's now Baron Graham Moore.
Baron Graham Moore. See, I did introduce you as Sir at the very beginning, but
No,
You've got to be careful with the sirs. We've
yeah,
got a Sir Keir Starmer.
yeah, that's true. And we did have a Sir Jimmy Savile.
Sir Jimmy, yeah.
Okay, I retract that, Graham.
okay,
Baron
Barons.
Graham.
So my closing comments to this, and it goes back to what Tim just said. Captain Tim said, freedom is in your mind. It starts in your mind, right? English and Englishness is a mindset, and the mindset is liberty and freedom. We are not British, we are English, Scottish, Welsh, and Irish. And the one thing that assists my mind when the pressure comes on and they're attacking and attacking and attacking is coming on a sovereign boat, a liberty and freedom boat with Captain Tim. That's it. And all we got to do is stick together and keep pushing forward, and we will get there. Remember, I want to say this in closing, right? You can beat the largest army, the most well-equipped army, the most well-trained army in the world simply by demoralizing them. And they know that. We're the largest army. You've got to keep thinking through, be positive. We are winning. If we wasn't winning, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing to us now. Just remember that.
100%. And what a perfect way to end. So thank you very much. Great words of wisdom there. I hope everyone watching has enjoyed this. Look after yourselves, and I will speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.